holographic universe. A holographic universe is, again, because me as a profession, I'm an electrical engineer. I've studied physics. The equation associated with the holographic universe is absent of what they call a measurement of time. So the holographic universe is how they can perceive a 3D model on a 2D surface. A three-dimensional model on a 2D surface does not mean that that none of this exists. It means this is a best representation of how we can perceive the universe through a holographic lens or a 2D lens. That doesn't mean that the 3D is no 3D, is no 4D, is no 5D. There's no 6D, no 7D, no 8D. There is, again, the holographic universe, because most conscious people pull it out, it's a simulation. We're in a matrix. No, life is very real. Life is very real. And time exists, again, for humans to understand distance from one another. Yes, it's a human construct. Everything that exists is a human construct, yes. However, these things exist whether we are here or not. Our mind is, again, its ability to understand the things around us. Because these things, if a tree falls in a forest, does it still make a sound? Hell yes, it does. You may not be able to hear it. If you're deaf, does the tree still make a sound? Absolutely, because the force of a tree smacking the grass still permeates through the air. Now, if you have ears to hear, they may trickle to your inner lobes, and those signals get interpreted through the brain as a sound. So to gather my point, to gather this all back again. Get rid of the ego of I. When you get rid of the ego of I, you overcome desires. Then maybe, just maybe, you'll be able to perceive greater things, but not the mind. The mind is just a tool to, again, comprehend the things going on around you, if you can understand.
You have 4 more minutes, if you must.
No. I leave it. I don't like the long-wind people, because I know people enjoy what I say.
Right. Okay. Okay. So, where shall we begin? Let's talk about the holographic universe. And we can use science to understand reality in the mind of itself, right? The holographic universe is not just saying that we're using the 2D to project to the 3D, or showing how the 2D works. Okay.
Time is a tool.
All right. So the holographic universe is basically showing us that how perception actually works, right? For instance, how. Okay, so I have to mute people's mics because they're making noise. All right, so the holographic universe is basically showing us that we do not exist in perceiving ourselves. The actual mind is made to perceive itself. We cannot. That's the meaning of its existence, is to know thyself. This is written all over the walls of his own knowledge, of the Nubian knowledge. Is the concept. His grandmaster teacher teaches knowledge of self. When you say that the mind is not able to perceive its... Hold on real quick. I'm going to just mute the panel because I don't want nobody to interrupt, really. Okay. When you say that the mind cannot perceive itself, and then say that you have a grandmaster teacher that gave you what? Knowledge of self. Why do you even talk to ancestors to gain knowledge of self? You even study knowledge to understand who? You understand self. The whole concept of us existing in this very moment is that we have knowledge of self. It's the only way we can become conscious. So the very objective of reality is to know thyself and become woke into what you truly are. So if the mind cannot perceive who it is, then what is the use of us gaining knowledge? What is the use? If the mind can never perceive what it is, then what's the use of having the master teacher that's teaching you knowledge of who you are when you could never fully perceive who you are? It makes no sense. Listen to what the brother is saying. At once he's saying he's under the teaching, or he's getting the teachings through Nubia, the science of Nubia. The science of Nubia is teaching you knowledge of self. So even in that sense right there, how can you in one breath say I'm a whatever, and you're getting the teachings of knowledge of self from Nubia? If the mind cannot perceive itself, then your teachings are irrelevant. Even the things that you're talking right now, saying that I cannot perceive myself, is a perception of self. I mean, think about that. You're even perceiving yourself not to be able to perceive yourself. That is a perception of self that you're giving self. You just told us that we cannot perceive ourselves, and that itself perception of ourselves. If I tell you you cannot perceive yourself, that is a concept about knowledge of self. I cannot perceive myself is a perception of myself, that I cannot perceive it in its own sense. I mean, let's think here. See, this is why when people talk, you have to really truly listen, because the concept in itself is an oxymoron. Simple. Everything in life, all over his text, is everything that he's perceiving through the Grandmaster Teacher is knowledge of self and how life works. And anybody that tells you that you're not able to perceive yourself is blocking you from even the essence of why you exist, which is to gain knowledge of self. Here's the facts of the matter. Look at the eyes. The eyes, and this will break out any misinterpretation of anything. The eyes, the holographic universe, proves to us that the eyes and how it works. We know through science that the eyes receive light photons that are sent through the retina and received as electrical signals through the optical nerve and perceived in the brain. So light is perceived in the brain, yet the brain is encased in darkness. How can something that is encased in darkness like your brain perceive light from which is out on the outside? If the eyes receive light particles, light photons, this is a fact. The eyes receive light photons, irrefutable fact. These light photons are transferred into electrical signals sent through the nerve to the brain, and the brain is interpreting what these electrical signals are, right? Yet the brain is encased in darkness. How then can the brain tell the eyes what it's seeing when the brain is encased in darkness? That is like me being inside of the house and 5 brothers go outside to collect data. They bring that data into me. I tell them what they see, smell, hear, taste, and felt. How? How can I give the eyes what it sees? How can the brain give the eyes what it smells? And if you cut the optical nerve, then there will not be a sight that was able to travel the photon into an electrical signal into the back of the would even interpret it. We know this is a fact. This is how perception works. You said that the mind can't perceive itself, yet we can look at ourselves and see how we perceive out through our senses. Perception happens through our senses, right? So how can we not perceive ourselves if we can study how we're receiving our reality through our 5 senses? This is how we perceive. When we look into perception, we're perceiving our reality through electrical signals interpreted by our brain. This is a fact. All 5 senses is perceiving, true or false. Your eyesight, your nerves, your tasting, your hearing, your feelings, and your smelling. All of these things are perceived in the brain, which is encased in darkness, right? So how can the brain, encased in darkness, right, and tell us what we're seeing on an external world when it's encased in darkness? When it's only receiving electrical signals, these electrical signals are picked up by them. The brain is interpreting these electrical signals. The question here is, how does the brain interpret the electrical signal? Then we can understand how we perceive. If you want to understand this, then we have to understand where all information comes from. The brain is perceiving information from the Akashic records, which is your DNA. When you were first conceived, when you first came into reality, your father gave you 23 chromosomes. Your mother had 23 chromosomes. These chromosomes came together. This was what you are in the beginning. You're a program. You're a genetic program. This program is what gives you your perception. That's the software of the actual hardware that we see. So the brain is actually perceiving the software of the DNA that you have to perceive the electrical codes. So light is not being received, it's being projected. You're not perceiving anything, you're actually projecting an understanding of reality. So there is no perception or reception of reality. We're projecting reality and living out a program. We think that we're thinking, but we're not thinking. We're actually a part of a thinking as it's thinking. Let me explain. Let me explain. You don't have a body. You are shapeless. You are formless. You are just a mind. You don't have a body. You think that you're inside your body because you can look at it. But you're looking at electrical signals being perceived by the mind. This electrical signal is being perceived and interpreted by the mind via a software called your DNA. This body is a projection of the mind, and you are dreaming. You look at your hands and think that you're inside your body. But the truth is, your body is inside of your mind. That is the proper way to perceive reality. Just because a brother tells you that you can't perceive something doesn't mean that you can't do it. It's just that he's trying to limit your mind to not be able to understand things that his mind hasn't been able to receive. So the mind can interpret the mind as long as it understands how perception is received. Now, when you were born, you were made up of 23 chromosomes of your father, 23 chromosomes of your mother. Now, DNA is the molecular blueprint of all living entities. All structure is built off of the DNA. DNA tells plants what color to be. It tells how big it's going to be, what its medicinal purpose is. It is instructions in the Akashic records of all intelligence. All intelligence stems from the Akashic records, aka DNA. So with DNA, we understand how the brain can interpret the electrical signal. So now we realize that, wow, there is no brain. There is no DNA, it's only mind. Because all is a dream. All is dreaming. And this is when you start to receive the perception. But before we go to that, let's go back to the part about the program. 23 chromosomes of your mother, 23 chromosomes of your father. Started out with one cell. One cell became 2 cells. 2 cells became 4 cells. 4 cells became 8 cells. These cells all carried the same information in them. And the 4 cells in your body, which you are a trillion cells moving as one being. You look at yourself as one being, but you're not just one being. You're trillions of cells moving as one being. But what is the brain of every cell? The brain is the skin, but that's another subject. But what is the nucleus? Inside the nucleus of every cell is DNA. There's DNA in every single cell of your body inside the nucleus. So you are literally running a software program, and you're projecting your program. You think that you're inside the room that you're sitting in, but the room is inside your mind. You are in a simulation of your own mind. This is a fact. This is not debatable information. All I'm going to ask anybody that tries to debate me is, how does the brain work? How does the eyes and how does the senses, what is the relationship between the senses and the brain? The brain is interpreting the electrical signals from our five senses, but it is perceiving this in darkness. So how does it perceive what the external world is from the DNA. Each one of us are running an astrological. When you look outwardly, the outworld is the projection of the inner world. When you look at the stars in the sky, you are looking at your DNA. This is why astrology connects to biology. When we study our astrological program, we are studying our actual software and why things happen to you in life the way it happens. And I break this down. I give us how we can perceive, the mind can perceive itself. First of all, you have to realize that your mind is nothing more than a piece of the all. We can perceive ourselves. That's what we're here to do. We're here to gain knowledge of self. If you're not here to gain knowledge of self, what is the meaning of existence? We forgot to remember to forget. You understand what I'm saying to you? You understand what I'm saying to you? We forgot. It's been 10 minutes. All right, cool, I'm done. That's mine.
Brother, you hear me?
Okay, yes.
Yeah, that sound good. That sound really good, but you know, I would have to say there is we're taught you either all the way right or not right at all. And again, when you're talking about perception, the brain utilizes five senses. Well, we call it one, but it utilizes five senses to be able to interpret what you just mentioned, electrical signals or waves through the brain for you to be able to process and to make decisions. That is perception. The mind is not the brain. The mind is outside of the brain. Not saying it's outside of the body, but it's outside of the brain. And so your mind, again, can only your brain and your mind can only work together when there is symmetry.
Where's the mind located, sir?
Where's the mind located?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we would say the mind would be located right here. And there's a force around here and here where the mind is located. So, again, the mind is separate from the brain. Now, they work together. But if somebody's brain damaged, that means they cannot perceive or they cannot properly process to give the body correct information for it to make decisions. Doesn't mean that the mind does not work. But it just means that you're not able to communicate based off in a realm that the society can understand. So the mind, and when you talk about DNA, you made a statement in regards to DNA being the. Can you repeat that? DNA can be it links you to what? Can you repeat that? I want to be clear on that.
DNA is the Akashic records. Our genome is our selected genes that give us our particular piece of what we are as far as the all. Every one of us share the same DNA, but we have different genomes, which means we have different selected genes that are active on that DNA strand that gives us the particular characteristics that we have individually, but we're piecing thing. We all share DNA. DNA is the molecular blueprint of living matter.
Okay.
And actually, your mind is your genome. Your mind is your genome, but I'll get into that in my next slide.
Yo, you got a slide, you got a presentation going, brother. Anyway, I'll just go. This is just me teaching.
We're doing verbal slides. 10 minutes.
Got you. Yeah. So again, no. DNA only will go back as far as your ancestry would go. Your mind goes back further than that because it's connected. What we teach is connected to something called an etheric cord. You're connected, your soul and your mind. Your mind is a glimpse of what you have connecting to your soul. Past the spirit to the baba or the soul. Again, when you're talking about DNA, yes, because you have some form of something called epigenetics. The brother talked about silver cord. You may find that in the Bible anyway. I'm not going into the Bible because there's not a Bible discussion. We're talking about DNA epigenetics can has an influence on what you manifest, or influence on what type of life that you can live. If you want to know how long you can live, it's in something called your telomeres. Your telomeres will show you how long you can particularly live, and also give you indication on the life that you can live. However, it is not the sole determining factor. You get your chromosomes from your mother and your father, but then you have something that is birthed out of that. Again, going back to the mind. The mind is able to, again, perceive these things. However, the mind, you cannot turn the mind in on itself to perceive its own self. It does not make sense. When you talk about our ancestors, talk about knowledge of self. You're talking about knowledge of self to know who you are. Yes. To know who you are to what? Overcome desires. If you walk those paths, for those who know, it's about overcoming those, knowing yourself to know what you need to overcome to reach perfection. Perfection is the constant ability to improve who and what you are. It wasn't about knowledge. We just got to know all knowledge. No, there's some people, there are people, again, because people just throw about Egypt and say knowledge is so, or eye of horrors, and then that's it. No, you talk about full-time, this is full-time for me too. So you're not talking to the average Joe. Egypt, when you talk about knowledge is so, they're talking about the ability to perceive the world around you, to overcome, perceive the world around you and your place in it. So if you go into Egypt, you go into something, if you go into Nubia, you're going to the pyramid text, it talks about creation. If you go into the coming forth by day, the Egyptian book of that, if you go into any Nubian text, in our prayers, we talk about that we are a part, but not one. We are not the all. I just said it the previous slide. Our DNA still does not contain all the elements in the universe. It does not. So if our DNA doesn't contain all elements in the universe, then how can we be the universe? Which debunks that whole conscious BS of, I'm all universe, I'm the universe. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to be able to have the humility, because humility helps produce results. Humility allows people to say, hey, I need you, brother, and you need me. I need you, sister, and you need me. The whole self-identity, I don't need no, it's about, again, not humble, but humility. And the mind, again, going back to the mind, your mind is utilizing the senses that the brain will feed it to make decisions. Now, if your five senses are disconnected, then you may not be able to have a proper perception of your reality. If you can't see, you may not properly be able to perceive the world as someone who has the ability to see. If you can't hear, you may not be able to perceive music the same way as somebody who can hear music. So again, the mind cannot be turned in on itself to see itself. It only can look at the world and reflect first, or take in and then project. You just said we all projecting stuff. No, you have to be able, it's a symbiotic relationship with nature itself to be able to, again, ingest, because things have to hit the senses. It has to be able to hit the senses in order for your mind or your brain to process things. So it's in reflection. Again, we teach about reflection and then projection out. So no, DNA is not the sole determining factor to Akashic records. I'm not even gonna get into Akashic records because it's gonna go way over most people on this panel. Again, our DNA doesn't link you to. Our DNA links you to your ancestors. The same thing that you say does not exist. See, when we get past the ego of it's all me, I, and it's just I'm doing. yes, we have the ability to determine the reality or the life that we want to live, despite any obstacles. However, in the humility of understanding that I live on a planet that is amidst thousands of others, millions of other planets, I understand that I play a small fraction of how this whole thing works. That's my point, if you can understand.
All right, can y'all hear me? If y'all can't hear, can y'all hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. If y'all can't hear this dude, he's contradicting the shit out of himself, yo. Can y'all hear the contradictions here? He's saying, like, it's just how he was talking about Malachi Z. York. It's the same, he's teaching against his own self. He's even using a seed. The argument is that the mind cannot perceive itself. But then he says that the knowledge is to help you perceive reality, which is yourself, and then how you fit in reality, which is actually you perceiving your mind and knowing your place. If you don't have this perception, you're lost. So therefore, it's like, dude, you're saying things, and just because you say them calmly in the way you say them, we are peeping you. This group right here that you have around you, these people watching you are not. And then you say you're not going to tell us about the Khametic records because it'll go over people's head. Like, woo, like this is like people that follow me are intelligent. Some of them are so intelligent they're bored and they troll me because they're really, even my trolls are intelligent. They're so intelligent that they're bored with it and they start trolling me. So let me say this. The mind, and I broke this down in Spirituality 101. We already had this class, y'all. The mind is the soul. The mind is the soul. It's your soul. Your mind is your genome. Your genome is the selective genes on your DNA that are selected other than my selected genes that are in my DNA. We both are the same people through DNA, but we're expressing it out of different genes being active. You had at least differ from me and appear for me. It's nothing more than a code activated on her DNA while it's on mine. So we have the same DNA, but it's silence. It's the difference between you. It is the Akashic records. All information, all knowledge, all consciousness comes from the Akashic records, which is DNA. Your mind is your genome, which is your selected genes that give you your individuality as a part of this DNA variation. You're a different genome, I'm a different genome. When we study astrology, what you're doing is you're studying DNA. And basically, when you get your astrology, the time you was born, you're studying your soul, your mind. Bruh, the concept of life, and it's all throughout ancient texts, and I hope that this goes to a point where we do a PowerPoint. Because I cannot wait for the debate. I cannot wait for this debate. Like, I would love to bring up the science behind what I'm talking about, because y'all know how I do. I can have it set up for tomorrow. I can have it set up for tomorrow. When you said you do this 24 hours, I can have this debate set up for tomorrow. The concept of living is to know thyself. It says the kingdom of God is within you. If you know thyself, you will open and unlock the kingdom of God. You will unlock. This is all throughout text. The concept of reality is to know thyself. This brother saying you can't know thyself. This is what he's saying, yo. It's impossible for the mind to perceive itself. What kind of reverse engineering venereal disease is this? This is crazy. For you to tell somebody you're not going to be able to know who you are. You're not going to be able to perceive what you are. The mind cannot perceive itself. We're talking about, he said that the mind, the mind uses the brain, right? But at the end of the day, the mind is actually, it's not using the brain, it is the brain. It is everything. Like, beef game. You don't have a body. The perceptions from your five senses are interpreted by your brain encased in darkness. I will say this again. You don't have a body. You are dreaming. For instance, when you lay down and go to sleep at night, you go to sleep and you go into darkness, right? When you go into that darkness, out of nowhere, let there be light. There's light. What is that lights of dreams? In your dream, you're walking around with a body. You have a body. How? What gave you this birth from your mother's body come from your mother? Where did this body come from? And the other bodies that you see, where did they come from? Did they come from their mother? You're walking around in a dream, and you got there from darkness and from the mind. The mind gives you a body. Just like in your dreams, the mind gives you a body. It makes you feel that you're in a realm, but really it is a projection, a simulation of electrical signals. What I'm saying to you is that at the end of the day, the mind gives you a body. It gave you the concept of even having a mother. You think you came out your mother, but the truth is, your mother came out of you. This might go over his head. This might go over his head. You know what I'm saying? This might go over his head. Here, you feel me? No, my shit gonna go over my head. Bruh, this gonna go over your head. Everything you see in reality is a projection of your mind via your DNA astrological software. For instance, if we have a laptop, right? We have a laptop. The laptop, what you see on the screen, what you see on the screen of your laptop is not on the screen. It's not real. It is software. It is binary codes being projected that give you the illusion that what's on your screen is real. These are binary codes coming from a software from the motherboard. That software is projecting onto that screen. This is what reality is. It's a screen. You're living inside of a hologram. So when you're typing on your computer and you're seeing animations on your computer moving around, that's not happening on the screen. And if you break this laptop, wow, take the motherboard, put the software in another laptop, hit the power button, boom, you're back on. If I throw my phone on the ground, does that destroy Instagram? No, Instagram is a software. You understand what I'm saying to you? So what's going on in our reality is not happening. These letters that's going up your screen, you can't break open your phone and take the words out. These are softwares via binary code that are being perceived through the cell phone. We have to realize that our day, this is why they genetically modify your food to genetically modify your mind, because your mind is your genetics. Your mind is your DNA. DNA is the Akashic records. DNA is like God, and we are different expressions of that God. You understand what I'm saying to you? The lion, the tiger, the bear, all are made of cells, and inside of each cell of their body is DNA. I can prove this with science. DNA is the molecular blueprint for all matter, period. Let me know when my 10 minutes is up, y'all. Because I keep going. You know me. Is it up? Let me know. So with this being stated, at the end of the day, you don't have a body. Number one, you don't have a body. Your mind is your genome. Your genome is the selected genes on your specific DNA of every cell in your body. Period. So what you have to realize is that this body that you think that you have is a figure. Roll your boat gently down the stream. Merrily. Life is but a dream. So when you go to sleep at night and you go into the darkness, which is called the quantum field of infinite possibility, in Egyptology they call it new. When you go into new, a tomb comes, light created itself. It says it in Egyptology. Through his science, it teaches about a tomb being the light that created itself from nothing, from the new, which was the darkness. We do this every night. We are the creator. You are the creator of your reality. This is backed up by something I'm going to teach about after he gets his last. I know it's been 10 minutes. I'm going to go. I'm done. You know what I'm saying? Let him go, and in the next, I'm going to teach you something that. But I can't wait. I'm go ahead. Y'all got to time me, man. Y'all ain't time me.
Yeah, brother. You said a lot of stuff that sounds good. And I gotta give it to you. You're a brother that says a lot of things that sound good, and I appreciate the Discord for sure. I hope the group, the people that's listening, are appreciating this Discord as well. Again, I wanna pick on some particular things. Like I said, I'm not new to none of this. I am not new to none of this. Some people just say I got woke yesterday. So coming to you, oh, you the man. I got woke yesterday. No, I was born having these dialogues. And again, you just said that the mind is genomes. Brother, you said science. If you talk, you said your stuff is backed by science. How is your mind? Do you know what a genome is? A genome is a group of chromosomes. Your mind is not a group of chromosomes. That's just rudimentary science. When you if anybody took science class, ain't nowhere in the textbook going to say your genome is your mind. Your mind is made of genomes. Your brain may be made of genomes, passed down again from your mother and your father, but your mind is not your brain. You talked about the waters of Nun, the primordial waters, not Nut. Nut is the goddess of the sky, of the heavens. Again, if we're gonna get into this, that's why I like to say I'm very precise with what I say. Nut, N-U-T. If you type it in chat, N-U-T, that's not the primordial water. That's not the primordial waters. It's the goddess of the heavens. Nun, N-U-N. I can't read that. Somebody read that. Maybe you got to get on the bigger screen because it's 3 and 4 going. Put yourself on the bigger screen so you can. I can't see it.
All right, cool. It's basically saying a genome is an organism's complete set of genetic instructions. Each genome consists of all of the information needed to build that organism and allow it to grow and develop. The instructions in our genome are made up of DNA. Within DNA is a unique chemical code that guides our growth, development, and health. This sounds like.
Yeah, okay. Brother, you talk about just genome. That ain't the mind. Ain't nowhere does it say, yeah, this is the chemical makeup of the mind. No, it's the chemical makeup of the brain, an organism. Your mind is separate from an organ. Consciousness is separate from an organism. Your consciousness can exist outside of a body. You just said yourself, I ain't come from my mother. I ain't come from my mother. I don't know what gymnastics that was. You may have to repeat that. But again, organisms are made up of smaller. elements, molecules, and atoms that come together and then form other organisms. That is not the mind. So you saying science and then saying your mind is made of genomes, I'm not even going to. I'm not. Again, that's just false. That's just false. The other thing you said, I think you was talking about. Yeah, you talked about the waters of noon and when we go to sleep, but you said nut. That's not it. And atum or atum rose out of the waters of noon. Not. You know what?
I said new. I said new.
New?
I did say new. I said new, brother. New.
Okay, then I would draw that statement. Then I would draw that statement. You said waters. You said new. Okay, I give you that. Egyptologists say new. Even still, your mind, Akashic records is not. You say you're linking DNA to your Akashic records. That's still not it. That's still not it, brother. So you spoke for 10 minutes and kept driving home these points of your genome being your consciousness or your mind. That's not it. Your mind, again, your brain, I keep saying this again, your brain utilizes 5 senses to be able to process information. Your mind is able to determine what is being processed to make a decision. That's the fundamental. You cannot you haven't shown me anything to say that your mind can perceive itself. We all understand we're one human body. We're one human body. Yes, we are. This is flesh. This ain't just my. And let's go to this. This is the main point I wanted to say. You talked about software, and this is not the screen. We don't really see it. It's really binary codes. It sounds deep. It sounds real deep and heavy to somebody who just heard about this yesterday. The reason why we don't see zeros and ones on our screen is because they're moving at a faster frequency than our brain can interpret. That's it. The zeros and ones, you cannot see that because it's moving faster. Just like a cat. A cat can see zeros and ones on the screen. It can see the fuzziness of the picture before we get the picture. And you made a point. You made another point that doesn't even make any sense. You talked about I could delete Facebook, and then Facebook don't exist. Y'all delete Facebook off your phone. Does that mean Facebook goes bankrupt because you delete it off your phone? No, it don't. So these are, again, you were talking about you could delete something. Well, then if you didn't say that, then I would draw it. If you didn't say it, I would draw it. I have no problem with drawing something that you didn't say. But I'm saying, again, we are only able to process for the level that our brains can interpret information. That's my point. Your mind is still not the brain. It utilizes the information given by the brain to help make moral decisions in life. But is your brain linked to the Akashic records? No. Your mind is linked to what people call the Akashic records, not your brain. And your mind is not made up of DNA. So I'm not, like I said, I don't need to be long-winded. You're going to have to restructure what you just said previously and come a little better.
Okay, so I realize you're not listening to me, and now I'm with us debating each other because I think that your dissonance is not you to hear through. It actually listen to understand rather than respond. So what we're gonna do now, from this point, I'm not gonna waste any more energy dialoguing, right? You can cam back up. I'm not. We gonna go back and forth now, brother.
I'm getting some more tea. Go. I can hear you though.
Okay. Right. The subconscious rejects it. Right. What I'm saying to you is this: at this point, I'm ready for actual debate to teach the people the proof that they can perceive, the mind can perceive itself. Actually, the mind is perceiving itself every fucking day. I mean, we're perceiving ourselves right now. I can perceive you. You can perceive me. I'm perceiving myself. That is life itself. The mind is perceiving itself at all times. What do you think life is? I mean, if I'm perceiving anything, I'm perceiving myself because everything is me. do the debate, right? When are you available for the debate? We'll make
Hold on, brother. I didn't say I'm about to hop into debate land. I didn't say that. You don't. Now you don't say what you.
I appreciate it, TT. It's bigger than you, dog. It's bigger than you. You don't open up something, right? And now let's teach the people. It's not about you. It's about teaching the people what the truth is.
Okay.
I got a good concept. Speak as if we have no knowledge of either side's proposal. And then put it into a way or form or a concept, just like both parties have said, perceiving, creating concept, because that's what our brains do, or my mind, apologize. Our mind does is create these concepts so we can perceive the information and data we're taking in constantly.
I'm going to prove to you that your mind is your DNA. That's what I'm going to prove. I can prove it because I perceived my mind already. And you see what he said a genome was, and then you read what a genome was, it's two different things. So we have to go to the literature to bring up the facts so that people won't misconceive what we're saying. We need the logic, we need the facts. It's his word against mine until we see the science behind it.
If only I still had my fucking biology stuff.
Yeah,
again. This is what I want to talk about in rebuttal. The observer's effect. This smashes everything he's talking about. If anybody knows about quantum physics, his teacher has taught this. Quantum physics teaches us through the observer's effect, right? That when we're not observing matter, it turns into a wave of potential. This is a fact. This is not and another thing listen. Another thing I must say, this man is teaching separatism. He's teaching separatism. At the same time teaching unity. It's like an oxymoron. It's like, what are you doing? It's like either you're going to teach unity and everything is one, or you're going to teach everything is separate. Here's the thing. Quantum physics teaches us when we're not observing the electron, right, or matter itself, or what appears to be matter, that the electron or the photon, right, the electrical matter, right, this is quantum physics. On a quantum level, we get to understand how reality works because we're perceiving ourselves. Through the observer's effect, we see, what do we see? We see that without our observation, matter collapses into a a wave, a new. Through our observation, light exists, matter exists. Outside of that, there's only infinite what's called new, or new, or noon, N-U-N, or none, whatever you want to call it. We could say nothing, none, nothing, the nothing. The nothing is coming. We all come from nothing, pretending to be something through the light of our minds. Nothing can exist without your observation. Nothing exists without your mind. I'm going to prove this to you because we're just going back and forth. Well, that all sounds good. No, like just kill it. I gave Divine out. Well, that all sounds good. Blah, 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 blah. Like, and then like, I paint this perfect picture of these hard concepts, and I articulate them with such precision, and it's like somebody coming and wiping your paint, like whatever, nigga. Blah, 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 blah. That was all good enough. That was all good, Norman. Nah. So what we'll do, if the brother wants to, we can set up for the people information to show them what the truth is. If not, then keep it to yourself.
Yeah, I had to think about it again. The debate stuff is all good. I have no problem smoking that type of dialogue. But I'll let you have to think about it. Again, it's not me saying just straight up denying what you're saying. There is some facts in what you're saying, but majority of it, to me, is just.
Are you a host here?
Am I a host? No. I got a lot of stuff. No, I don't host.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Then why it wouldn't be a benefit to you anyway?
Nah, yeah.
I mean, like, I already taught this the other day. I'm like, I preceded this. Like, I already taught it. I don't know if somebody caught the class. I taught on disease, DNA, and astrology. I already killed this whole thing with facts. Like, I don't mind opening it up again. I'm the grandmaster teacher of your grandmaster teacher. Yeah, man. But I look young, but ain't nothing young about me. But I don't. At the end of the day, I get it though. I get it. But a lot of people start loving you because you're coming up against me though. Because the people just hate me.
I just talk about, again, I don't get caught up in the drama. It's all teachings. I'll debate teachings all day long. People's personal life.
Wake your ass up, Crafty. I'm woke.
Yeah, like I said, I want, do some homework on that. The mind cannot perceive itself. Yeah, you. Yes, you. Yeah, you.
Oh, that's pretty cocky of you. What's your age?
It don't matter. I thought time doesn't exist. If time don't exist, now why you asking my age?
Cool.
I want to ask you something. If the mind can't perceive itself, then what is knowledge?
Information.
Yes, information.
But isn't the mind perceiving information?
Okay. So the mind is our tool set to determine the direction or the decision that we want to make. The brain is just a computer.
There's separation between the mind and knowledge.
Wait, one more time. What?
So I have.
Everybody going down.
I have a question for the host.
The data.
Yeah.
Where did you get your knowledge? Like the knowledge that you teach, where did you get it from?
Oh, who, me? I got my knowledge from where y'all got y'all knowledge from.
Who?
No,
I got my knowledge from the Akashic records. I got my references from online. I got them from online, but my knowledge comes from with information. Information. Let's break down the word. Information. Knowledge that formulates from within you. You were born with a particular knowledge. You can't teach a lion how to be a lion. You can't teach a cat how to be a cat. You can't teach a dog how to be a dog. Because there's inset intelligence inside each creature on this planet they were born with. Each human being has a certain amount of information to share and activate first in themselves and share to the collective humanity. So we're all pieces of information, but the information formulates from within your DNA. So there's a lot of knowledge, but there's only one information for you. Your information, the knowledge that comes from you and your experiences in life, the knowledge that comes from your experiences, things that's happened to you that you gain. This is called information.
Right.
It formulates from within your DNA. It activates once through experiences in your life. But it's your destiny. It is who you are born to be. The information is in you. You don't have to look at nothing. It's in you. You don't have to be taught to be who you are meant to be. It's called intuitive knowledge.
Are you guided from within by a source, or are you guided from
experience? My life experiences have given me the knowledge I've had because it's information. It formulated from my experiences in life.
Okay.
What's up, Tyler?
Yeah, again, my bad. I don't want to overstep somebody else who's about to speak.
Oh, my bad.
I know what you about to say. Again, it sounds pretty. But and you weren't even listening.
No. We are born with the intuitive ability to comprehend things. Does not mean you're born with all information. Again, that's more ego talk.
I never said you were born with. I never said that. I never said that. You keep saying stuff I never said, and you're in the argument by yourself. You're in this argument by yourself because you keep saying things I never said.
Say it again. Say it again.
Okay, I'll say it again. Each individual have a piece of knowledge for the collective humanity. You were born. I said a tiger cannot be taught how to be a tiger. A dog can't be taught how to be a dog. A lion can't be taught how to be a lion. There's inset information that allows them to be who they were destined to be. This system that is set up here stops you from your natural process of bringing your information. You have information that has nothing to do with the outformation that's being bombarded on you by this society. Before you're able to develop your own information, they're putting information in you and inhibiting you from being able to learn what you naturally are sent here to know.
Default settings.
It's called distracting you from your own abilities. This is why your whole life you wondering who the hell you are, right? But you can never know who you are because this system has been set up to distract you from being able to have the experiences that develop your information. That's knowledge that formulates from within you. You were born with. That makes you who you are and gives you your purpose for existing.
I'm a cactus.
And most of us haven't developed that.
Well, that right there, brother, I would agree with you. I give you that one. But I'll give you one point. Huh? I'll give you 1 point on that one. I'll give you that.
I'm gonna follow you, bro. I'm gonna follow you.
Can I wanted to ask like a clarifying question. Like,
ain't nothing in that cup. Stop drinking out of that cup. Ain't nothing in it. That's like a
it's
bad
a little bit left, brother.
Stop. We see the common cup, dog.
There's a drop.
Fire as hell. But stop drinking that invisible tea.
There's some more in there.
That's a spirit.
Stop drinking that invisible tea, brother. Yo, hold on, I'm about to make some more tea.
I just want.
You know how they had them bad acting movies where you know ain't nothing in the cup? Like, stop, bro. Yeah, come on, man.
As far as debate, there's no need. Yanis, we don't debate. Again, this is just conversation. We're talking about the oldest religion on the planet. There's not no need for debate.
I just want let's have a conversation with some slides on it, so that we can bring up some kind of facts.
I'm not about to do the slide situation because that does nothing for the audience. At the end of the day, that's not the goal. That's not the goal of why I teach.
If we have screens side by side, we're teaching the knowledge, right? We're teaching this knowledge. You teach your knowledge and prove how the mind can't perceive itself, which is the most retarded concept I've ever heard in my life, right? And I'll teach how the mind can perceive and is perceiving itself through life itself. And I think if y'all want to see it, look, if the people want to see this debate, press 1. Put ones in the building. Make them go across the screen. If you want to see a debate, right? If you want to see the knowledge, the actual facts of the knowledge, put the ones in the building.
I want the knowledge processed and perceivable, so wisdom will be presented, so that way I don't got to think about debating anybody's logic or theory on this.
And so I don't have to keep looking things up to double check.
Right, because if we bring the facts of the matter, we bring the science behind what we're talking about, right? We each get, let's say, 15 minutes for each other, 15 minutes to 20 minutes of teaching why the mind cannot perceive itself versus why the mind can perceive itself. We'll make it an event. People will come out. They'll learn. Instead of there being drama on this app, they'll see two black brothers sitting here teaching black people knowledge, which we haven't seen in such long since Sa-Netta. You got to give it up to Sa-Netta. Sa-Netta used to have like Brother Polite versus Sabu Seti. I used to sit and watch those debates. Those were fun. You know what I'm saying? It's a fun way of learning. And that's my eye, to teach in a fun way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, I'm not going to... my devotion is to what I know and what's been taught to me. I'm not in here to debate people. That serves no purpose. That Sa-Netta stuff, that was all done in the 90s. You talking about the Grandmaster? He did all that. He debated everybody. This point where I'm at right now is either you want to learn more about Yanis and what we teach, or you want to know more about what you teach, and that's it. Debating. So you're saying that you are a teacher? Hold on. Debating does nothing for anybody's soul. Yes, it does. It does nothing for. No, absolutely not. No, because listen, This is why our oppressor is light years ahead of us, because they sit around and have debates on scientific matters, and they evolve their consciousness. This society that we live in, they have had Galileo against Plato. They've had all kind of debates on sciences that have evolved their consciousness into the technologies that we're talking on today. Nikola Tesla. They had the other guy that used what was Thomas Edison. And these guys, these men, Newton and Einstein, they were high minds, and our society needs debates to bring knowledge forward for the youth, for them to gain knowledge and take the knowledge and be able to use it. And we need to do that as black men. We need more intellectuals. Meanwhile, everybody else on the app is doing what? They're fucking arguing. They're doing like stupid shit, saying crazy stuff about each other. We have the ability to raise the mind of the black community and start a trend where we're not arguing with each other, we're not tearing each other down, but we're bringing out arguing each other in a facility that actually helps people understand the knowledge, and it's respectful. We're not tearing each other down. We walk away, we share the knowledge, boom, it's over. That's it. Just like we're doing now, but we're doing it with a slide. Where we're not disrespecting the
individual, we're actually addressing the knowledge. Open to new information. Yeah, again, my religion is non. Never mind, bro. Yeah, it's not happening. Never mind, bro. It's not happening. It's not. This is not. I'm not doing this for a black man. This brother knows. He knows. I'm about to be a black. That's gonna smash that. And he has no knowledge behind what he's talking about.
Well, and you have to recognize that uncomfortable conversations are the conversations you learn the most from to build your consciousness and to grow your consciousness into being better.
He's supposed to. If it was Brother Polite is a Nawabian who was I'm not gonna say under the teachers, that got learning and teachings. He would have took the debate. Because even in the debate, some people are going to gain the knowledge, your knowledge through the debate. You're going to be teaching.
Exactly.
And it's going to grow people toward it's going to be some people that's going to be like, I want to look into this knowledge over here. What the brother said, even in this meeting right here, there's some people that are now interested in the Nawabian understandings. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know what your work is, but my work is to spread the knowledge. I don't know if your work is to spread the knowledge. If it's to spread the knowledge, this is a very constructive way to bring it and make it a trend. Because I'm a big name on here, and if you want to spread your knowledge, it's a good way to get it out.
Something.
And can I ask a clarifying question?
Again. He's about to lean forward and be like, again. What I said? Sounds good. But
both very educated.
Sister, what's your question down below?
Yeah, I wanted about what we were all saying about the genomes and stuff, and how the genetics is inside the the soul, basically, right, inside the mind. So what I'm wondering is like, when you're talking about it being the DNA goes inside your soul, you're meaning that it's not just from the body we're in right now. It's our DNA in our soul is from every single human body we've ever been in throughout our entire existence on this planet. Right. So our soul,
and that's what
our body inside our body inside our body inside our body, just like everything else.
Right. That's what makes you fractal.
Yeah.
DNA.
So that's
DNA has all time and space in it, and one cell of your body has all time and space and information in it. You understand what I'm saying? DNA holds the information for all. This is the reason why your eyes are blue. This is the reason why your skin is the way it's colored, your hair is the way it's colored. It's intelligence itself. It tells things what it should be. Through DNA, we know that life, this is the blueprint of existence. It is your true mind. This is why genetically modifying your food or your marijuana is actually altering your mindset, because we get our mind from our DNA. This is why you can take medicine that throws your chemistry off, and at the end of the day can alter and make you go crazy or make you feel sleepy, because they understand the endocrine system and how it plays as far as regulating your DNA. That's why they have genetically modified food, because food is information. And if the information is modified, you're not talking to God, which is nature, which is actually the oneness, right?
Yes.
The oneness, you're disconnected from that oneness, which creates what we call the matrix.
But and it's like it's not just doing it to our mind. It's more doing it to our psychology. It's doing it to our.
But that is your
body.
Psychology is just the study of the mind. Psychology is the study of the mind.
But I mean, that's the one part of it, though. That's the one that's the most effective.
No,
right?
First of all, you got to understand the mind is your genome. Your DNA is your mind.
I agree with that, because that's the genome is connected to your soul. It's like your soul.
No, the genome is not connected to your soul. The genome is your soul. That's the software of your soul. These are the codes that make up Lisa. The activated genes on your DNA is your genome. Don't just go research it. The genome on your DNA, right? Everybody got the same DNA. Mm-hmm. What makes my DNA different from yours is just maybe one or two silenced genes, right? Mm-hmm. And you have a silenced gene that makes you have pale skin. That's a gene that's giving you the gene. Everything in reality is based off of genetics. Mm-hmm. Your mind, the physical part of you, even the psychological part of you is based on genetics. You know why? Because it's all connected. Everything is connected. What the brother's not teaching you is how everything is connected.
Right. The law of universal oneness. That's my favorite.
Yeah, you have to bring everything full circle. He's not bringing everything full circle. He's leaving you in pieces and leaving you confused. But it's just a belief system. Remember, belief systems are systems made to make you think something. Mm-hmm. So whenever someone is giving you a belief system, whenever someone's giving you a belief system that is not bringing you full circle back to knowledge of self and divinity and who you are truly, then you know that this is to confuse you.
Yeah, brother, you keep saying a lot of stuff, and you even confuse the sister. But
I'm saying a lot of stuff.
I really didn't agree with. You know, again, you keep talking about our teachings, and you really don't know much about it. You really do not. And so you keep talking about.
I don't know nothing about your teachers. I know about what you teaching.
And that's just what. You're teaching. You don't know. You know, I might not know what your teachings are.
You keep all I know is that you're teaching. Your teaching is false as hell, bro.
You just said the genome. You said your mind is made up of genomes. Genomes is a set of chromosomes.
I never said that.
If this is recorded, I promise you.
You're not listening. I never said that, brother. I never said that.
No, I heard you very clearly. You said your mind is.
Did I say that?
You kept saying your mind is made up of DNA. You kept saying your mind is made up of DNA. That's not true.
Your genome is your mind, bro.
So if your genome is the mind, then that means the mind, your mind is made up of genomes, and that's still not true. Whatever way you're trying to spin it, you throw the word science out. You say big word. You say epigenetics. You say DNA. You say all these different scientific
Do you know what a genome is? Do you know what a genome is?
I just told you, genomes is a collection of chromosome information that is perceived as your chromosomes. That's it. That's all
right,
DNA is a set of your chromosomal structure. That's it.
See, stop. Now, stop. Stop right there.
Again, y'all just look up what a genome is. The first thing on Google.
Oh, we can look it up. It's right here, sir.
Nothing to do with them.
Sir, it's right here, sir. Would you like me to read it to you, sir?
Yeah,
sir,
so again,
a genome. Listen. A genome is an organism's complete set of genetic instructions. Now let me explain what that means. A genome, it says it. It didn't say nothing about chromosomes and all of this. A genome is an organism's complete set of genetic information, which means these are all of the active genes on your DNA.
You should define genetics that way.
It has nothing to do with the mind. There's nothing to do with the mind. That's everything to do with how your brain develops. Your mind, again, is separate from the brain. Now, this is real simple. Maybe y'all need to write it down. Maybe you need to debate yourself.
Why do you keep saying the mind is separate from the brain when the brain...
Because your mind utilizes the information. Your mind utilizes
the brain uses the interpretation of the... Listen,
I think
the only way the brain can work is with the mind. The mind is actually...
You just said my point.
The brain is using the mind, brother.
I think the problem is he's listening to you, but he's not listening to you for the words that you're meaning him. He's listening to you from his understanding. So
if you want to say something, again, you want to be precise.
He's saying it. No, but he's saying it precise for people that understand it.
Genome is not... Sister, I promise you, genome... It deals with brain. It can deal with brain development because it's linked to your chromosomes, linking back to DNA. The mind is separate from that. It utilizes, again, write it down. It utilizes the information gathered from the brain. Okay.
No. Okay. Let me tell you what it's like.
No. Let me finish my point.
It's like a software and a hardware. The software is made for a hardware. Stop. Let me talk. When you have a software, right, which we would say the software was the mind, right, and then you have hardware, right. You cannot put a iPhone 3 software on an iPhone 11. Okay, so the brain and the mind go hand in hand. The brain is developed by the mind itself. It's for the mind. Mm-hmm. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can't have one without the other. The brain develops by how the mind works.
And it's like how you
ego too. You see how he calmed down? Did you see how he calmed down? He calmed down because what I just said made sense. The brain develops by how the mind works. Cut it out. You can't put an iPhone 3 software in an iPhone 11 because we have a brain fit for an iPhone 11 software. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
then after a while, the software's update, you got to get an iPhone 12. You have to get a whole nother brain to even interpret the mind, which is the software. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Are you grasping this?
Yeah, brother. Now you're walking in the door.
The brain and the body and everything that we are is developed by our mind. The mind develops the body. You're actually mental before you're physical. Yo, everything is shaped by the mind, which is DNA.
No, again.
Everything is shaped and formed by DNA, yo. DNA is a molecular blueprint. Did you catch it? It's the software that develops the physical. The physical is actually taking instructions to develop itself through that software. The software develops, even if we make a computer, right? The computer has to be able you make the computer to be able to compute the software. You make the hardware for the software. You have to make the software first. You don't make the computer first, then the software. You make the software, and then then the actual hardware is formed, and we design it around to do what the purpose of the software wants it to be done, even with our technology. man is saying that the mind is separate from the brain when the mind forms the brain. Never mind. Never mind.
You're just saying everything that I said.
Never mind.
An hour ago. Now you're saying everything I said an hour ago, brother.
Oh, this dude is playing games. He's playing games.
I'm not playing games. Now you're using a software hardware analogy.
The brain does not form the mind. It's impossible. The mind forms the brain.
I never said the same points that I didn't even make. I've never said the brain forms the mind.
I'm talking to the trap.
Okay.
Now you're trying to switch it up. Stop. You switching it up now. You's a switcher.
I'm not switching. Maybe we can move on. Let's move on. Let's move on.
He did this with Malachi York. He did this with the same thing with the master teacher thing. Now he's switching it up again. And he's doing
slick. What he said an hour ago.
Yo, we can see you, my man. We can see you.
Yeah.
What did you say an hour ago? That was that.
Brain, hardware.
Now you're making statements that I did not say. I clearly did not say that the brain makes up the mind.
But you said that you said what he said.
No, you never said that. I was talking to the chat. You said that the brain was separate of the mind. And it's not.
The brain is tough. My point, I'm still sticking with it. It hasn't changed for an hour now. You may try to funnel in and out of what I'm saying because you know inherently that you keep trying to use these science words, these terminologies that don't plug into what you're talking about. The mind utilizes the information through DNA, through telomeres, from all of those things to make a decision in the world that we make.
Yeah, what?
Say what?
Is the mind separate of the body?
Look.
That's what you said before. No, because
I'm making it real clear.
You're not ready for me, young boy.
No, that's what you said an hour ago. You said that the mind was separated from the body.
I'm making it real clear. You keep trying to put these.
Call mommy and poppy to come. Go get your master teachers. Now
you're doing all this. Now you're doing all this theatric stuff, and I'm not here for theatrics.
No, because that's what
you're the theatric one with the copper cup. Yo, stop with the theatrics. You're being theatrical.
I'm drinking a cup.
With the scarf.
So now me being now this is where conversation gets stupid,
bro.
Now this is where conversation gets stupid.
Yo, hold on. Let me empty this cup and act like I'm drinking water.
Okay, that's fine. Again.
But what you said an hour ago was that the body and the mind is separate. And that's why I was confused. But now you're saying you didn't say that? So you said
no, that's what I'm saying. And now he's
then why'd you say you said what he said? Because he said something completely opposite.
I'm saying when he was making the notion of software and hardware. But again, I'm done with this. I'm done with this conversation. Ideally, there's a fundamental difference of how you said. Sister, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to him. I'm not talking to you. I just said what I said an hour ago.
Welcome to Lisa.
Sister Lisa, I appreciate the dialogue, but I'm talking to the brother over here. And what I'm saying is the simple premise hasn't changed from an hour until now. And all the science words that you try to use, DNA that gets everybody excited, those are buzzwords that still don't make sense. I want to move on to a different topic because Yaniness, we deal with the spirit and we deal with the soul. That's ideal. That's really what we're dealing with. Now, however you want to interpret genomes being the mind, that's your business and that's maybe your technique. But that don't ride over here. In Yaniness, we deal with the spirit and the soul for all human beings. That's it. So you try to make this debate thing about, let's get into this debate here and bring about. No, we deal with the spirit and the soul and how you can connect and utilize that to benefit the world around you. That's it.
Total misconception to what you guys are both arguing is if your mind and soul talking about the reality behind the build-up of.
You sound muffled. Is anyone else hear that?
My phone was in the toilet, so I'm saying that you guys basically what brother just said in number 2, basically mind and spirit, correct?
I can't hear him.
He said the spirit and the soul.
Yo, bro, we cannot hear nothing you say. You trying to get the knowledge. We can't.
Serious.
You got to update your software or your hardware, brother.
My mind will not allow me to update my brain. No, seriously, no. Okay, so back. I have to talk like this, or else you guys probably won't fucking hear me. So, like I was saying though, so brother number 2, you saying you go into the teachings of the mind and soul.
Say it again. I couldn't hear him. He sounded fragmented.
I think he's asking you if the soul and the spirit are different or if they're the same thing. Is that what you're asking?
Say it again. I can hear you, Lisa. Go ahead. Say it again.
I think he was asking if you believe that the spirit and the soul are the same thing or are they different?
They're
Is that what you're asking?
No.
I don't know. I was confused by what he asked too.
Let me get these.
Are you serious?
Oh God, here we go. Here we go, y'all. Here we go.
Oh.
Here we go. Here's the moment we all been waiting for, y'all. Here we go.
I know
the man himself is in the building. Darn.
Peace.
There's a lot of knowledge up here right now.
Wow. We got Sirius 720 in the building. We got Calistar in the building. And we know wherever knowledge is at, Tyler is there. She is going to be in the building wherever the brothers is building.
I can't because you was
You know it's real when Tyler come on your joint.
Oh my God, I just woke up. So I sound like a man right now.
Let's get it. Let's get it. His family is definitely supporting them. They coming through supporting them. Look at that. Look at his family. Everywhere he go, that's his. He the chief of his family. Everywhere he go, they support him. That's what I'm talking about, man. He came right to the panel. They made sure he was on a certain number, man. How the fucking pagans gonna do better than us? This is what I'm saying.
Wait, what guy are you talking about?
Nah, they showing out for Cyrus. That's he the leader of his group. They coming through for him.
Oh.
Hey, brother Natureboy, my name is Sirius, bro.
Oh, Sirius, my bad, Sirius.
Yes,
Natureboy, you crazy,
I
bro.
can see that second eye sometimes.
Why you said I'm crazy? You came right to the ancestor conversation. We summoned you. Somebody said the ancestors, and Calistar came up. Let's get it. The brother in number 2. He's under the what teachings? I mean, not whatever.
Oh yeah.
This is one. Can everybody hear me? This is one thing I've always.
Hold on, Calistar. I want you to hear the brother first.
All right, go ahead.
What was the question? What was the question you asked me?
What? Tell them the teachings you're under the
Yeah, so the teachings I adhere to is called Yananism. It's a Nubo-Egyptian-based spiritual system that came out of that region, and we teach the modernized version of that here in 2000.
Okay. I got a question I've always been wanting to ask.
True, what are you doing, True? What are you doing, True?
Muting and keeping the chat clean.
Okay.
This is hey, Nature. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, God. Go ahead.
This is the one question I've always wanted to ask. And it's funny how much I talk. I never asked this question before. But out of everybody on this panel who seeks knowledge, what is your reference point? Now I already know where you gonna go, Nature. You ain't gotta go there. That's gonna turn into a whole Netflix documentary.
It's not. When you say reference point, are you talking about my reference points of the 5
No, I'm not. No, I'm not talking about your reference point. What I'm saying is this is where I get confused. When I go into the indigenous world and I come back to this, when I come back to what Babylon, what do you call it? When I go into the indigenous world, I'm crystal clear on everything. Like even for instance,
when you go to places like India, Asia, Africa, Indonesia, Australia, New Zealand, nobody's running around calling themselves no spiritualists. Nobody's even having those conversations. You know why? Because I know who everybody. I can identify everybody. I can identify the blacksmith because he's blacksmithing. I can identify the carpenter because he's working in the carpentry. I can identify the herbalist because they over there dealing with the herbs. I can identify the alchemist.
Protect that. Don't tear them down. Nah, man. Nah. Damn that, man. My woman supposed to be listening while we teaching. We got to hold them to that standard.
Later. Family, I know those children are like. Well, man, he trying to be taller than me. I won't stand next to him. How old?